Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Garcia, and in this video I'll be discussing my ethical responsibility to my local community and to those outside of it, using John Stuart Mill's ideas from utilitarianism. I'll also reflect on whether my understanding has changed from last week. So, first part is my responsibility to my local community, and according to John Stuart Mill, morality should be guided by what he calls the greatest happiness principle. That actions are right if they promote happiness and wrong if they produce the opposite of happiness. Happiness for Mill means not just personal pleasure, but the well-being of everyone affected by our actions. So when I think about my responsibility to my local community, I see it as a duty to act in ways that increase the overall happiness and reduce suffering among the people around me. That could mean small, everyday things like being kind to neighbors, helping a struggling classmate, or supporting local programs that serve others. It could also mean getting involved in community projects, volunteering, or just being the kind of person who helps make the local environment more positive and connected. Mill also emphasizes the idea of higher pleasures of the intellect and moral feeling. In this sense, being part of a community isn't just about comfort or convenience, it's about contributing to something meaningful. When I help others or work for a common good, I'm not only making others happier, but I'm also engaging in those higher pleasures that come from compassion, empathy, and purpose. So not only am I helping out, but I'm also I feel good about myself too. So on to part two, my responsibility to those outside of my community is pretty much like Mill's philosophy also challenges us to think beyond our immediate circle. In utilitarianism, he writes that we must be as strictly impartial or as disinterested and benevolent spectator. In other words, when it comes to moral decisions, I shouldn't value the happiness of people near me more than the happiness of people far away. This means that my ethical responsibility extends to those outside of my community, people in other cities, countries, or even on the other side of the world. If an action I take can improve the lives around me or of others globally, then according to Mill, I have a moral reason to do it. For example, supporting global charities, being mindful of environmental choices that affect other countries, or raising awareness about issues like poverty, inequality, all align with the utilitarian idea of maximizing happiness for the greatest number. So Mill's philosophy reminds us that morality is not limited by borders. Everyone's happiness counts equally. So while I have a stronger emotional connection to my local community, my ethical responsibility includes caring about people I may have never met. And that's part of being a moral global citizen, recognizing that my actions, even small ones, can even contribute to happiness or suffering far beyond where I live. And onto the last part, if my view has changed from last week. Compared to last week, my understanding really hasn't changed that much, but it has become a lot more clear and I've put a lot more deeper thought into it. Previously, I believed that my main responsibility was to help those closest around me, like my friends, my family, and neighbors. But after studying Mill's approach, I see that obviously it requires more broader reach, and Mills teaches that the happiness of all people matters equally, not just the people I know personally. This means my responsibility doesn't stop at the borders of my town or like my country. Every person's happiness is part of the greatest good. So it also means that when I make choices like what I buy, how I spend my time, or what causes I support, I should consider how those decisions affect the larger world, not just my small little town or my small family. So while I still see my local responsibilities as very important, I now realize that being ethical means balancing both the local and global. I can't help everyone, that I'll admit, but I can make thoughtful choices that contribute to happiness and reduce harm for as many people as possible. That, I think, is what Mill would call living ethically, making decisions that aim for the greatest happiness, guided by both compassion and for reason. Not just for my small circle, but for the broad global area as well. Thank you.